Hi, my name is Milton Hunt, and I'd like to welcome you to the Diversity and Inclusion Training by the Education Subcommittee of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council. In today's training, I hope that we would accomplish 6 key points. These will be our desired outcomes. First, we'd like to talk about what is diversity. What does it look like in our company? What are the benefits of diversity? Not only the business case, but how does it make us more productive? What is inclusion, this action word of bringing people together and having them feel a sense of belonging? Understanding our own unconscious biases, while we all have them, it's important that we identify them. Identifying the stereotypes that sometimes creep in to the mindset that we have that may affect our decision-making process. And finally, managing our own belief systems. While going through today's session, I would ask you to keep in mind throughout the session this one point. See, the truth is, we do not see things the same way. But however, the power is that we don't see things the same way. That we all come with a different perspective, different thought process, different ideas, different opinions. And that is to be valued. Well, why don't we jump in and talk about what is diversity, equity, and inclusion? And I'm going to add even belonging here. You see, diversity is just simply a fact. It's a fact. Let me share with you. You could have 100 males in a room and have such complete diversity. Some would be tall, some would be short. Some would wear glasses, some would. Some would be college educated, some would be high school educated, because they would all differ one from another. Equity is just simply a choice. It's a choice about doing what is right. It's a choice that the company makes, the individual makes, the supervisor makes, the manager makes. It's a decision that we take on. Let's do what's right. The choice is ours. Inclusion is just simply inclusiveness, adding people. It's the action word. Can we bring people together? Do we have an environment where people feel like they belong? Do we have an environment where people feel they're valued? And finally, belonging is the outcome. We hope that after going through this, that we'd have a deeper sense of belonging. We'd have a better understanding one to another. You see, one of the things that I think happens when we talk about EDI is the word trust begins to show up in the recesses of our mind. Trust is real simple. Trust is formed by having communication one to another, by us having the ability to listen to people, not listening to respond, but listening to interpret, listening to get a sense of understanding. When there's communication and people are listening, then we can move to the next stage of building relationships, where we care about people and we treat people the way we want to be treated. You see, the key is, while it takes years to build relationships, it only takes seconds to tear them down. And when you think about EDI, and we all come from different places, different walks of life, it's imperative that we have this communication and build relationship. Because when we have this, then we have acceptance. And acceptance is the ultimate goal that we're looking for. I should submit to you today that when you don't have communication and you don't have relationship, you have the exact opposite of acceptance, and that's tolerance. And man, who wants to be tolerated? So let's think about building trust and the importance of that from an EDI standpoint. Let me cover just a few definitions, if I may. We talked about diversity and how it's a fact. Well, the real definition of diversity is differing one from another. You know, I learned a long time ago, we all want basically the same things: shelter, love, peace of mind, acceptance, the ability to provide for our families. So diversity really is not about skin color, race, tone, origin. It's really about how we differ characteristically one from another. I'd like to kind of move into this thought of, when we think of EDI, about seeking first to understand. One of my favorite authors, Stephen Covey, said in habit number 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. There's something to be said when you want to see the world through the lens of someone else, when you want to try to understand their perspective and where they come from. Inclusive workforce. So what does that look like here at Chesapeake Utilities? If you take a look at the slide, you'll see a number of different characteristics that make up this sense of belonging, where people feel this inclusive environment, where they can come to work in an environment where they feel safe, they can contribute, but yet they have differences. whether that be education, gender, race, religion. It could be a whole host of different characteristics. But the key is that we have an inclusive workforce where people feel they're being treated fair and equitable. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the benefits of EDI in the workplace. While there are several, it's good corporate citizenship, it's good responsibility that we do business and hire people and promote people and conduct ourselves in a manner that speaks volumes of our character. Let me share with you some of the benefits of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. First of all, there's higher performance. There's a higher retention rate. It's also a great tool for recruiting. We find that when there's collective minds at the table, we can be more creative, we can accomplish more. I'd ask you to take a look at that slide and think about which one of those makes the most sense to you as a benefit that you see EDI brings to the workplace. This quote is really important. You see, having a diverse workforce doesn't automatically translate into an inclusive culture. Rather, it's something that needs to be built intentionally. We have to be intentional about this. While the leadership of this organization has invested time and resources to get us to this point, it's now incumbent upon the people that are on the front lines to carry this mission forward, to build one to another. Collectively, we can build an inclusive workforce. If you take a look at this slide, this kind of speaks to what we call the dimensions of diversity. You'll notice the big four: age, gender, ethnicity, and race. Most folks seem to get trapped right there when we talk about diversity. But the real truth of the matter is, there's so many different dimensions of diversity. Now, if you remember, I just shared with you diversity, how we differ one from another. Think about, as you look at the income of folks that are in our organization, the education, the marital status, religious beliefs, maybe geographical locations, physical ability. And here's one that definitely is a differentiator at work: our personalities. So these are some of the different dimensions that we see in the workplace. Just know this: we all bring these to the workplace. It's incumbent upon us to understand how they impact other people. Next, we should talk about unconscious biases. Now, first, by nature of the title, you would have to believe that unconscious means it's something that we do unconsciously. We're not even aware of it. Bias is just simply our habits, the things we do. It's something that's ingrained inside of us. We all have them. We all have unconscious biases. Unconscious bias is just real simple. It's how we feel about a social group, how we stereotype people, the groups we put people into based upon our belief system, our education background, our experiences, the things we've learned. We all have them. Finally, everyone who holds these unconscious biases generally is about a specific group of people. It's generally about some education that you've gotten about someone, maybe either limited or extensive. Everyone holds these unconscious biases about various social groups, and they all stem from our belief system. They all stem from our association, the things we've learned. I have to tell you, I have them myself. And one of the greatest challenges I find is, how do I battle, how do I overcome my own unconscious biases? When I bring them to work every day in the workplace, how do I overcome them? How do I become cognizant of them? How do I address them? These are all important points that we should really sit down and do a self-examination. Because eventually, our unconscious biases become what we know as implicit biases. And this is no more than when an attitude is formed about this group of people, about some social groups, about situations that we encounter. Then we start making decisions unconsciously. You know, I don't think people do this because they have an intention. I think they do it out of a habit. I think they do this out of a place of comfort. We're going to ask you to think about this as you're encountering people that maybe don't look like you, don't talk like you. Maybe they're from different parts of the country, different origins, different languages, different religions, different belief systems. Be sure to monitor your unconscious biases, because eventually it leads us to a place that we've all heard about called stereotypes. And these are commonly held once again in our subconscious mind. And I must tell you, as a full-blooded Native American, I carry a lot of stereotypes that were taught to me by my family. And I've fought over the years to do away with those because they don't serve me in the greater good. Yes, in the comfort of my home, yes, in the comfort of my community, we discussed some things that was very comfortable. But what I found out in my leadership mantle, if I was going to grow outside of my comfort zone to become the best that I could be, I had to do away with those stereotypes. Just remember, we all have them, and they will eventually affect our decision making. And they sometimes do, and we don't even really understand it. When I think about stereotypes, I want you to know this. It's impossible to avoid them completely. They seem to creep up at the most inopportune time. Oh, I could tell you all mine, and I'm sure you have some of your own. But the point being is, let's be cognizant that we have these. Let's be sure that we address these. And finally, I just want to talk to you about our beliefs. Now, folks, I am not here to change anybody's belief system. I certainly don't have the power, I don't have the wherewithal, or do I have the desire. But we all bring a belief system to work every day. The good news is it's ours. The challenge is that our belief system is probably going to clash with someone that we're interfacing with when they don't think like us, when they don't have the same beliefs we do. And so I'm going to ask you to just take a look at your belief system. Just ask yourself this question. Is my belief system conducive for growth in this environment that I'm in? Because here's what I know. Beliefs plus the actions, the things that you do every day, will certainly yield to behavior. Now, we can't change people's behavior. Only they can change their behavior. With given enough information, with a deep burning desire, we can change our belief systems and we can change our behaviors. I want to thank you so much for your time today, and I really hope that you learned some things today and you were able to walk away and glean some things about EDI and the importance, why this is important to Chesapeake, why this is part of their mission and their goal. Hey, here's the good news. You're going to get a chance to take just a brief quiz. It's only a few questions. There'll be some multiple choice, some true false. We want you just to kind of answer those and just see kind of self-reflecting on what you've learned today. Once again, my name is Milton Hunt. I've enjoyed my time here with you today, and I would encourage you, keep growing and keep learning.